Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton.
Thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com, broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the freezingly cold Denton Square. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into Sound Values tonight. I am sitting here with a first-timer on the show. Actually, my first time talking to these guys. They were recommended by the man Sage Baker, so shout out to Sage for having these guys on the show. We are sitting here with Taylor.
Nice to meet you,
and
man.
Taylor.
Nice to meet you.
Of the POLARITY. Nice to meet you guys as well. Good to finally make y'all's acquaintance. I appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight. You know?
Absolutely, dude.
So it's great to get some what's new faces to me, but as I saw, you guys have a nice following online, bunch of listeners on Spotify. So if you guys want to hear their music, make sure you go onto Spotify right now, type in the POLARITY. It'll pop up real quick. All right, it's perfect. It's perfect.
That's nice.
And give all the songs a listen because it's awesome. So the first question that I want to ask you guys, I'm gonna start off with Taylor over here.
Okay.
Is what's your first musical memory? First time music impacted you?
Oh, man. So my dad, he was super into the Beatles back in the day when he was
Nice.
growing up. I mean, because while he was growing up, they were super popular.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you always love the music that you've grown up listening to. And so I kind of took that on to myself too, listening to the Beatles, and that's where I started. And then I watched like some performance that they did, and I was just like, oh my God, I want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't know if I'll ever play at like Shea Stadium or something as crazy as that. But yeah, that's the first memory I have.
That's what's up. And how about you, Taylor?
I can't really think of I know I got a drum kit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember what happened, if it was my birthday or Christmas. It just kind of appeared in my room. So
Okay.
I don't really know about that. But my first defined memory was I was going to this one church, and I was in the middle school youth program. I was really shy back then, just sitting in the back minding my own business. And one of my brother's older friends played drums, and he was leaving. So he was like, that kid plays drums. He has a drum kit. And I was like, me? And I was like, no, I've never been on stage, never played with anyone, never practiced drums. I just fiddled around. And then the youth leader was like, sit down at the kit, the big $5,000
Yeah.
sanctuary kit, and they're like, just rip into it. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, you're in the band, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then it just kind of took off from
They
there.
never really aasked you if you
No,
wanted to be.
yeah.
They just said you're part of the band.
Yeah, they even had a pamphlet, and they were like, sign this, and you're in the band. And I was like, this is really official for a 13-year-old. Yeah.
You had your first autograph signing
Yeah.
right then, man. Exactly. That's what's up. So, you guys have, like I said, a great following going. And I was kind of saying, I was like, why is it that I hadn't heard of these guys until Sage directed me towards y'all? And so how long have y'all been a band?
So POLARITY was a thing that I started.
Okay.
I had been in a few pop punk bands back in 2012, and I was like, this isn't really working out very well. So then I started my own thing, and then went through a bunch of band members and didn't work out with them. And then I was like, okay, I need to find some people that are dedicated and really want to do this. And then I met TG. We call him TG. His name's Taylor Good.
I'll remember this.
Because we're both named Taylor, so we kind of
Makes it
have
easy.
we have to have a distinction between us.
For sure.
So he saw us play at Gas Monkey 2 Novembers ago,
Okay.
and one of my mutual friends brought him to the show. And so my drummer left, and then we had been talking in the meantime. He was like, dude, I should play drums for you. And I was like, well, we have a drummer right now, but maybe one day. And then and then that day came, and he was like, all right, dude, I've been waiting for this day. And so, yeah, that's how I met you.
TG, all it takes is for the drummer to leave.
Yeah.
You get your
Yeah.
chance
Exactly.
on there, man. That's true. That's really cool, man. And so, you guys meet through mutual friends, which is awesome. Now, you said that you had some projects beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
How did you kind of start writing music to begin with?
So the previous bands that I was in, I still work with them today.
Okay.
So we ended on really good terms. They kind of coached me into writing, honestly.
Nice.
They were some of my biggest influences, and so I learned from them, started to go in my own direction, because they were in pop punk, and I wanted to try this indie, indie pop route,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's how it went. So
Very cool. Now, who were you like listening to growing up? You know, who were you listening to? You know, because for me, a lot of the stuff that I listened to was that pop punk and the emo kind of stuff and all that kind of some screamo here and there. You know, growing up in high school, what were you listening to?
I listened to a lot of everything, and embarrassingly enough, I listened to a lot of Coldplay.
Hey.
Everyone gives them hate, and I'm just like, hey, I don't care. They're
You don't
great.
have to like the band to appreciate talented musicians.
I know, exactly.
You know, just because you don't like the way their C major sounds doesn't mean whatever they're playing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, dude, they're a great band. So, like I said, I think it was more so the movie, like 40-Year-Old Virgin, that always made that comment about liking Coldplay, and then I think everybody started making fun of people for liking Coldplay.
Probably.
I was like, me and all my buddies just went to a Coldplay concert. It was great. It was fantastic.
I know.
Yeah. And so for TG over here, when did you said that a drum kit just appeared. And the one thing that I always ask drummers is like, did you have, like, your parents had to be very cool with that, to have you just
at first they were, but then my parents always told me, like, you know, most kids you have to like tell them to like go practice or something.
Yeah.
My parents had to tell me to stop practicing drums,
wow.
because like our old house, my bedroom and their bedroom were just right next, like it's just a wall, and my drum kit was right in that corner, and if I wanted to play that at like 3 a.m., they'd hear it, and then you'd hear them like be like, stop playing, like it's time. And then I think it was going into high school, one Christmas they surprised me with an electric drum kit on the opposite end of the house, and they were like, follow your dream, and I was like, thank you. So
I think, I feel like the electronic drum kit was literally like the product of some group of parents who were just like, we want to support our sons and daughters and everything in between, like, as for whatever they want to do, but we have to figure out a way to quiet this down. You know, we've got to. I remember I had a buddy in high school, and I didn't even play in the band. I would go watch them, and the dad would come upstairs. He'd be like, no feedback. I'm sick of hearing feedback. You know, it's like, can't control that a whole lot, Mr. Macco, but we'll do our best here, you know. And so when did you like start to, so you said like your band members kind of influenced you in your writing process. When was the first time, or I guess here's the question. So did the Polarity start off as just you by yourself?
Yeah, that's correct.
When was the first time you played in front of people by yourself as the Polarity?
So even though I was like producing all the music, I still had a band with me at shows.
Okay, nice.
And so my first show was December 22nd of 2014. And it was probably the worst show of my life.
Perfect. Get it out of the way quickly. What was so bad about it?
So we went through this this agency. I won't mention any names just because we're online. So they said, hey, if you sell this many tickets.
Oh, I know who they are.
Yeah. If you sell this many tickets, then you're going to get this time slot, and it'll be great. And I was like, okay. So we sold the certain amount of online tickets, didn't exactly meet the quota, but a bunch of people were going to buy at the door.
Yeah.
And so we got there at 6. We were supposed to play at 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then they told us at like 6:10, yeah, you're going to go on at midnight. And I was like, what? All of our fans are about to be here at 7. And they were like, yeah, you didn't sell enough tickets. And we were like, but they're going to buy at the door. And they were like, yeah, well, it's too bad. You're playing at midnight. And I was like, oh, my God. And so being that I was under 21 at the time, I couldn't leave. So I had to wait at that venue for 6 hours.
Oh, my God.
Half of the fans didn't even come. Or I guess fans. They were my friends.
Yeah,
Half of my friends didn't even come.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't blame you. This is really bad.
Yeah, man. Now,
some other words I used. But.
Oh my. Okay, so I know exactly who you're talking about, and I won't say it either because I've already said it on the show before. And I know what you mean. And what's so funny is everyone who I've talked to has had a very similar experience.
Mm-hmm.
I got there, and I got there on time, just like I was told to. I walked, and the guy looked at me and goes, "Why are you here so early?" I was like, "Because this is when I was told to get here." He's like, "You don't play for 2 hours." And I was like, "Okay." I'll hang out. Like, that's cool. I just needed to be, it said be here.
Yeah.
You know, be here at this time. So I sent them a wonderful email after the whole show, and then I've had some friends actually get messaged by these same people, but I've already told them, hey, whatever they send you, you can tell them I already know what you're trying to do and I'm not interested.
Watch
So,
out.
yeah, if you have one of those people who hits you up where it's like, the sell this many tickets to be able to play, I understand how tempting it can be, but from my personal experience, I wouldn't do it. I would say find a local venue in town and throw a free show for your friends to come to. And like the J&J's Basement, great place. Go throw yourself a show down there, and you can have a great time. So I'm sorry that you had to go through it too, man.
Yeah, I feel like it's really like it really sucks, but it's like every new band has to go through.
It's a learning experience too, because they make it sound so
enticing,
like, beautiful in the emails. You're just like, ooh, And then, I mean, there's been articles and stuff written about this company as well, too, that I found online where I was like, oh, goodness, So hopefully not too many other people will be victims of that as well, because it happens to people in rock. It happens to people in rap. It happens to all over the place. So, I've seen it, but, at least you're still doing your thing. You didn't let that show discourage you. So now that we talked about kind of like your worst show, what's been one of your favorite shows that you've ever played?
So we did an album release for our most recent album, Sugarcoat, at, where was that? It's going to bother me. It was a house show venue here in Denton.
It was on Jago Street, but it wasn't Jago.
It wasn't Jago House?
Was it Castle Crust?
Castle Crust. That's what it was.
Cool.
And so we've been a band collectively. The other two members aren't here. They're at school right now.
Smart boys.
I know. So we collectively have been a band since like last July. We went on like a weekend run through the Texas cities. And this show was like the first experience where we had fans, strangers, people we'd never met, come to our show and sing literally every word to every song. And it was so weird.
Yeah,
it was so weird to me.
It freaked me out because I kept glancing over and I'm like, oh, they got to like miss one line because I don't even know the lyrics. And they're just staring at us, just singing everything at the top of their lungs. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Now, do you write most of the lyrics, or does anybody else from the brand bring songs they might write as well?
Essentially, I will put together like a skeleton of a song and the lyrics, and then I'll bring it to them, and then they will help bring the song together.
Okay. Is that kind of like that the Instagram video showing the chords from Son of a Beach? Is that kind of like the beginning of how that would start, with the basic chords, and then you kind of writing the song, and then everybody comes together?
So I'll write like the chord. I'll hear like this guitar part. Most of our songs are guitar driven.
Okay.
And then I'll like be, oh, that's super cool, and I'll record it in Logic, and then I'll probably put some lyrics that don't really make sense at the time, but just like the melodies that I'm hearing, they'll make sense. So I'll record those, and then later when I'm with my producer, I'll finalize all the lyrics, make them more cohesive and better, and then we'll work together when we're in the studio.
Very cool, very cool. Do you guys have a certain practice space that you go to, or is it mostly all put together in the studio?
It's pretty much all put together in the studio, yeah.
Very cool, man. What studio do you go to?
So we go to the Hang Studios in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Hey, Ben. I don't know if you're here. Yeah, Ben is our producer, and I've been working with. He was actually in one of the first bands I was in.
Okay.
Back in like 2012.
Very cool.
And then he went off to Boston to get an audio engineering degree, and then he came back, started his own studio, and so I've been working with him ever since.
Nice. It's always good to have that nice personal relationship with your producer, because, at times it can be, there's that balance between like professional and friendship at the same time. And, a producer's job is to sometimes critique and maybe say, hey, like, try this.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time I ever saw a producer in a studio was when Seosin came out with their album in like 2007, and it came on the CD. Like you could put it in and it would show their recording process.
Oh, wow.
And I remember there was their producer in the studio was like, hey, like try doing this influx on your voice at that time, or hey, like let's cut the bass line right there, And I was like, I had never known that there was somebody kind of behind the scenes who was kind of helping to make the musician go, okay, this is the right spot. The producer's job was to be like, okay, stop. That was perfect. We're not going to record it again. That's exactly what it needs to be. So that's cool that you have like a good, solid foundation and good relationship with him. So when it comes to playing the drums, and he kind of brings a track what goes on in your head when you first start hearing the piece?
I usually think, like, this is awesome. Like, it's already finished. Because, I mean, he's a drummer, too. So he makes my job the easiest thing in the world. He'll be like, hey, here's, like, the basic drums. And I'll be like, those aren't the finished, like, product. Like, I'm completely fine, like, playing that just straight through in the studio. But we'll go into the studio day, because usually the first day is drum day.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we'll crank out drums. And Ben's phenomenal with being like, you can do this instead. Like, we kind of like brainstorm as we go into the tracking day. But, you know, it's really easy. It's not really stressful. There are a couple parts where, like, Ben or Taylor pushes me where I feel like I can't do that part. And they're like, well, you're going to do it. And they just start the recording. And I'm like, okay, here it goes. But other than that, it's a blast.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So what would you say is, like, everybody kind of has their favorite part, you know. Some people's favorite thing is writing the first part. Some people is recording or whatever. What is your personal favorite part of the whole process?
Of the whole recording process?
Yeah.
Probably when it's done.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. And you're like, okay, they're not going to pressure me into these drums anymore. We're good here. That's awesome. Yeah.
No, legitimately, it's probably the guitar playing for me. Whenever we're tracking them.
So you play drums, you play guitar. Is there anything else that you got? You got a tool belt here?
Yeah, I like drums and guitar the most. I started out on bass. That's what I was playing in those punk bands back in the day. And then I sing as well.
Very cool. Now, the singing is one thing. Is something that even when I played guitar and stuff, I knew I was not a very good singer. I did it because I enjoyed it. It was, I liked getting those emotions out, when I was younger and singing and all that stuff. But to get up there and to have that confidence, is to not only is to sing and play as well, is a difficulty. I used to try to. The first song I ever learned on guitar was "Time of Your Life" by Green Day. My mom loved it, so I was like, I'll learn that song. But I would try to sing it while I played it. Couldn't do it. Still to this day, it's a very difficult thing for me to sing and play at the same time. How do you balance that out in your brain?
Dude, I don't know. It just kind of naturally comes to me.
I
mean, part of it is I try to write simple guitar parts so I don't have to focus so hard on playing while I'm singing.
Some of the simple stuff. Now, do you do any lyrics, any kind of singing at all?
No, my whole family can sing, and they just look at me sometimes and be like, why can't you sing? Like, just like, I can't.
I sing with the snares and the toms and all that. That's one of my favorite drummers from Fun Button, Jared Holt. That guy, he's got a drummer face. Like when he gets it, do you have a drummer face?
I think I do. A lot of the posts that I see live, it's usually like kind of the same couple of faces. I can't make it right now.
Yeah, it's a very natural thing. Yeah,
I think I bite my tongue or my bottom lip.
Yeah, it's like you do the Air Jordan just the whole time. That's awesome, man. That's what I always. Every drummer is kind of different. Now, how do you set up your drums?
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
So I'm left-handed, and when I first started playing drums, I didn't have an instructor or anything. So my dad was like, hey, you have friends in your grade that are drummers too, but they're all right-handed. So you should learn on a right-handed kit. So when you go over to their house, you don't have to rearrange everything just to play the same thing they're doing and then rearrange it back. So I started playing closed, just normal drumming, and I was like, I can't do this.
When you say closed, is that this technique right here?
Hand over a hi-hat, left hand on the snare. And then I started getting lessons after school, and my instructor was like, you look like you're having a rough time just surviving. So he's like, what feels natural? And I just went like that, and he's like, open stance. And I was like, what? Yeah. So then he was like, okay, let's do this. And then at the time I was into double bass and stuff, so I would always lead with my left foot. But I'm so far now that my right foot's the bass, and I cannot switch that. I can't just switch to a lefty kit now that I own my own kit.
Yeah.
So I have a normal setup, but it's kind of like a jazz setup where the rides over here and the toms. I just flip those, so the ride's on the left side, and the rack tom is on my right side, then the floor tom, to where it's just kind of easy.
Yeah, so nobody's backlining. You're you're not backlining on anybody's kit, man.
We had one show where
we were playing for the Sherlocks.
Yeah, they were all like, hey, you guys can use our kit. And I was like, okay. And that was probably the show that I've messed up the most because it just didn't feel good. I kept missing like things, but
normally, you know, when people are like, you can backline, you know, drummers are like, okay,
yeah,
because then you don't have to load all your stuff in. But if you're playing on a kit that's very specific to your style, I mean, that can change things up for sure. So a lot like singing and playing at the same time. A little backstory: I used to work at Kroger years ago, and I would sit at the self-checkout, and I would try to play a rhythm right here and a rhythm here, and then one with my foot because I'd be there for hours. And I couldn't ever, you know, my foot always needed to hit with whatever like that. And so my question is, how do you develop the ability to do different tempos at kind of one time?
So that was one of the things that I struggled with when like I think everyone struggles with that when you first get into drums because like you can play the really easy stuff, but when you start getting into the more like technical things, a lot of people like drop off because they're like, I can't do it. Like I don't have independent limbs, but like my instructor, like I would start doing like paradiddles with my hands, and he's like, okay, now start doing them with your feet and your hands. And I was like, okay. And then I struggled, and then he's like, you're going to do paradiddles with your hands, but you're going to flip it with your feet to where you start with the left.
And what's the word?
Paradiddle.
Okay, and that's a great word.
Yeah, paradiddle. It's like transferring the lead, or is it? I don't even know what it means, but it's like
anymore.
it's
you know
right.
what to
Yeah,
do.
it's right, left, right, left, left.
Well, there you go.
So
We had it right there.
Yeah, it's you kind of get used to it, and then you can build up speed. But then my instructor was like, now you have to do it with your feet, but like alternating to where you start with your right hand, but you start with your left foot, to where your mind is just imploding.
Yeah,
and then you start at a really slow tempo, and you just build up like everything else on drums. You just have to start slow, get comfortable, go a little bit faster, and then.
And there's that time when you get it, and then the time after, and it just kind of keeps going from there. Were you very happy? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yes, it's my instructor called it like going up a staircase. Like you have the like flat where you are not progressing at all, and then it's just a step, and then it's flat again. That's a step.
Sounds like you had a good instructor, man.
Yeah, I've had a few great instructors. My most recent instructor was Efren Guzman, and he was in the 1 O'Clock Jazz Band and everything. So he's so much better than me.
Why does that name sound so familiar? I don't know why.
He's in the Dallas String Quartet right now.
Yeah,
I think.
I feel like I have like met this guy, or I'm friends with him on Facebook. Something.
He goes by Cheekies.
Oh no!
So
it just sounded so
really?
familiar to me. So if somebody is watching out there right now and they're thinking, I want to start playing the drums, what do you think they should look for in an instructor?
Look to somebody that like you want to go to. Like I've had a lot of instructors that are just really strict and rude, and it discourages you from playing. So when I found my instructors and they like wanted to hang out and like be like, let's do what you want to do while we're still learning, I found that I was actually practicing at home, being like, I want to get better at this, rather than a lot of other things when I'm just told to do something, I immediately shut down.
Yeah.
So it's finding like similar ground and then striving to get better together.
Yeah. Nice. They left you feeling good about what you were doing,
exactly.
and then good about coming back the next time too.
Yes.
That's okay. Very cool. Very cool. Now, did you ever have any guitar lessons, or did you just kind of learn?
No, my brother taught me bass because he needed bass players for his bands. And so once I learned that, I just kind of taught myself guitar, and I owe it. I honestly owe it to Guitar Hero for teaching me how to play drums. Honestly,
Really?
The drums? No, I was going to say guitar. Yes.
No, not guitar at all. That doesn't help at all. The drums, it teaches you like where to hit like each part of the drums on each beat, and you have to hit it accurately. So.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Well, hey, I guess if you don't want to get an instructor, you
there
just
you
go buy Guitar Hero.
Exactly.
Sorry, Joe James out there. It's just like, why would you say that? Like,
I'm probably gonna get so much hate for saying that.
Probably.
Whatever, man. It's hey, if it works,
it works.
It works. And I can kind of see how that would transfer a lot better than.
Yeah, exactly.
You're actually you're doing this rather than this. I'm like. My buddies who would play that, but could not play guitar for the life of them. I was like, the only thing that really does is maybe give your finger strength. Like that's it. But once you play an actual guitar, your fingers are gonna hurt. But like the neck's not. Come on, guys. It was when that came out. I was very frustrated with that, and I think so many guitarists work because they're like, if you spent that much time playing the guitar as you played this game to conquer whatever song it was on expert level, you would be playing it for real.
Yeah.
And that would have been awesome. So, we've kind of talked about some show experiences, the ones that aren't so good, kind of the learning process of how you guys record, and then your favorite parts of that. Now, when it comes to getting shows, I think that's something that a lot of people first have questions on and struggle with. How do you go about presenting your material to a venue or a booking agent?
Dude, we're still figuring that out. Yeah, I honestly don't have the answer yet. I'm still working on it. Because we've been trying to get bigger shows this last year. We think we're really at a place where we can get enough people to a venue. But that's really all they want to see is how many people can you get inside of our show.
Yeah, how many can you bring? And so how did you start to work on building a following?
I don't know. I think we just we're getting our friends involved, and they would bring their friends, and that's kind of how we got started locally. And then
Nice.
eventually we were featured in this this ad for a guitar pedal, and that's kind of how Son of a Beach blew up, honestly. And so then
how did this happen? Was it just like an email? How did whoever decided to put you in this commercial see you?
Yeah, okay, so sidetrack from this question. I graduated from UNT in media arts, so I do a lot of videography, and that's essentially what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to reach out to this brand new guitar pedal company. I had seen one of their ads, and I was like, hey, do you need some content made? And they said, yes, absolutely. So then we signed a contract, and I made a few video ads for them, in which case I had to make songs for the ads because I didn't want to buy some licenses to put in there.
Yeah.
And that's how Son of a Beach was born.
Really?
Yeah. So I wrote this 30-second instrumental jam thing, and then he paid for the ad to be on Instagram and Facebook, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's the name of this song?" And I didn't have a full song. I only had 30 seconds to a song. This was 2 years ago. And then and then he decided to run the ad again this last November. But by this point, I had actually written a full song because I was like, I should probably make this a real song if so many people like it. And so, yeah, I made it, and then Son of a Beach blew up, and then, yeah.
That's cool. Isn't it cool how, sometimes going to college and getting your degree helps out the life that doesn't involve a degree whatsoever?
I know, right?
If I had never moved to Denton, I wouldn't be doing, anything musically. If I just stayed in Irving, I'd still just be in Irving.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to Irving, but the music scene wasn't nearly as thriving as the one up here.
Right.
That's super cool, man. And so I like how you said I didn't want to pay for licensing, so I wrote my own songs. And that's such a Renaissance man type thing to do, where it's now you're showing these people that you have multiple talents. Not only will I design, these ads for you, but I'm also good enough to write music to put into the ad, that you find beneficiary to the ad, and then you're going to play that as well.
Sure.
So that's super cool, man. And actually, I think that if anybody out there is listening and you do media arts or anything of that nature, if you're a musician, give it a try. Try making yourself that available to where, because you never know, they could hit you up and be like, hey, we have an ad placed, but we need a song for it now.
Yeah.
Or both vice versa. So that's pretty sweet, man. Congratulations on
that.
Thank you. That's a very cool accomplishment right there.
Yeah.
I like it.
We really owe it to that ad to where we are today, and we have so many fans across the country now. Because of that ad. It's just
sometimes advertising works.
I know.
All right. A lot of people don't like to do it. So many people talk about they want to come up organically. They want to come up organically, but that's a difficult thing to
really
do.
Hard.
To just post a song and then expect tons of people to come and listen to it with so much content on the internet today. It's really not.
It's impossible.
Yeah. You're right. It's extremely difficult. So getting those ads and and then developing a portfolio like that, like you have, that's a great way to do it. So you were talking about "Son of a Beach," which of course was the first song that I listened to when it popped up, and it has a lot of plays on it. What was you kind of told me how it got written, but was there some other inspiration behind the song, or was it just?
Yeah, so I got married last June, and I actually wrote the song about my honeymoon.
Nice.
And so we went to Hawaii, and
very cool.
The song is just about having fun on the beach and drinking and smoking and
who doesn't enjoy that good time?
Exactly.
Exactly, man. And so for you, Taylor, whenever you are, not playing in the band, or you're not practicing the drums, as you say, you would practice all the time. What's something that you do in your free time to maybe help relax? Or kick it, take it easy?
Let's see.
Is it play the drums? Because some people
yeah, I mean, lately it's been, go to work, you have to make the money, and then immediately get home and just throw down like 4 hours on drums or something.
That's how you let loose, huh?
Yeah, and then I also bought a motorcycle like a year ago because I was like, I haven't done anything for me ever. I was like, every like purchase I do is like, I want a new cymbal, like, and like I was like, I'm a young guy, like I want to live life. I'm gonna buy like a super sport, like just this monster of a motorcycle, and I'm gonna like tame the beast. I'm gonna do it. Like,
how old are you?
I am 22 now.
Yeah,
so
you had your half-life crisis at 22.
Yeah, exactly. I bought it at 21. I talked to my parents a little bit about it before, but they were kind of like, and I was like, well, I already bought it, but I didn't like tell them. I just kind of like secretly, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to ride it and then show them.
Much like the drum kit, it just appeared.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of appeared. But I like doing that, like tinkering on it, meeting with friends to like go grab a drink, like at Lou's or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I watch a lot of hockey with my brother.
Really?
Yes.
What's the team?
Dallas Stars.
Me too, man. All right.
Yeah. Big hockey fans.
Funny story about the motorcycle. He actually got me into riding. He convinced me.
Did you buy one?
I did buy one.
Oh, man.
Well, I went and took the class.
We got a biker gang with the Polarity.
Yeah.
I went to the class. I got my license, and then I bought a bike, and it scared the poop out of me. And so then I sold it after a month, and I haven't ridden a bike in like a year. But
I crashed on a dirt bike when I was 7, and I can remember I was rolling so fast, and the helmet was too big that the helmet was rolling around my face as I was spinning.
Wow.
And I can still remember it because I wrecked in Cameron White's backyard. And when I finally stopped, I remember I was laying like this, and I just see Cameron just sprinting towards me because I went down like that. So he was really worried about my leg and all that. And I got home, and my dad was furious because he had a motorcycle growing up and did nothing but mess himself up on it.
Yeah.
And he was like, never again. He was like, I'm fine
parents
with it.
Aren't really.
Yeah, my parents were pretty mad when I told them. But.
So, yeah, meanwhile, I was building dirt jumps in my backyard and stuff. Just whatever I could to get myself in trouble and scare my parents, was what I was all about. So, Son of a Beach blows up, and one thing like that I like about y'all's sound is that when I was explaining it to Jake, there's no really one genre there. And I think as music continues to grow, there's so much integration of different stuff. And so as you said earlier, it's kind of a pop, indie,
emo too.
Yeah, emo too, and like and there were a lot of different influences that I could hear in there. And so as you guys get older, as you guys write more music, are there bands that you still kind of turn to for that inspiration, or that you hear new sounds, some new music that you're listening to?
So I listen to a lot of From Indian Lakes. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're pretty indie.
Okay.
Pretty out there. But yeah, that's where I get most of my inspiration from.
You said From Indian Lakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
From Indian Lakes.
Yes.
But really, it's just like I listen to any genre. So if I hear something that sounds really cool, then I'm not gonna copy that, but it's gonna have an influence on what I write in the future. So yeah, I think that's why the album is so different from song to song, is because I like everything. So I try to experiment with a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that was one thing, when you start, once again, I'll apologize, I don't have the songs memorized, but I'm going to pull them up right here, because then you start at Son of a Beach, which has that long, that long drawn guitar in it. And then now personally, I enjoyed I Don't Want to Party.
Yeah.
That one,
the second.
Yeah, that one I liked.
Favorite.
And the thing is, I really enjoyed it all. I went through the top 5 and listened to those, and then dived into a few of the other songs. And then VHS was great, I thought, as well. So I enjoyed it all, man. And what I like about having this show is that I get to find a lot of music that I've never heard before. And the fact that it is so new, I'm like, yes, like there is still good indie pop rock, even though you don't hear it a lot on the radio now. you know, because let's face it, like a lot of that it went away for some reason, you know, but the scene still thrives, you know, and you guys are proof of that as well, because the proof is in the numbers,
Yeah.
you know, and that shows right there, you know, what 209, almost 300,000 streams on a song is 300 times any of my songs. So nice work on that. So how do you keep yourself, I guess, when you see that number, a lot of people can be like, oh, I want to see more numbers like that, you know? How do you keep yourself inspired and writing and continuing the process?
Well, honestly, it's the fans on Instagram. Our main following is on Instagram, and they're always contacting us, talking to us, and we love talking to them. And they're getting pretty restless right now because they're like, when are you going to put out a new song? And I'm like, I don't know, whenever it comes to me. And so I am working. We are working on a new song right now, and it should be out within the next month, I think.
Is there a whole new like record coming in line, or is this just going to be kind of a single?
So I have a lot of
Hey guys.
I have a lot of new jams recorded, like demos, but I haven't really like started actually recording them yet.
All right, cool. How do you get your inspiration? You know, what is it? Some people it's walking around. what is yours?
Yeah, it's a lot of just cool songs I hear, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I want to write something like that.
Very cool.
And then I go and do it, or I try to do it at least. I don't know if I succeed.
Yeah, I remember reading on a Reddit forum one time where somebody was like, how do I like kind of sound like this? And one person was like, oh, create your own sound, da 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 da. And this one guy had a really good comment where he was like, just because somebody wants to know how to do what that person did doesn't mean they want to sound like that person.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they might just go like, they want to take that certain technique and then implement it in their own way. You know, so you might want to know how to do a certain lick or create a certain synth in its Logic or Ableton or whatever, you know, and then you can put your own spin on that. I think that's where most inspiration has to come from, is you hear something and you're like, ooh, yeah, that's,
exactly.
I kind of want to go do something like that. So for you, man, who are your, you know, do you have anybody who you turn to, drummers or bands or somebody where like that's the golden ticket right there?
Yeah, I have a few drummers that I just praise nonstop. Like I just follow them on Instagram. Like a lot of the drummers I listen to are really heavy because like middle school I went from listening to like AC/DC, I jumped like straight into Slipknot, and then like it was a huge jump, and then I was like, what's heavier than this? And then, you know, I got into Periphery, and like I've always been like a fan of Periphery, like Matt Halpern. I don't know how he does it, but he's phenomenal. So I'm always trying to like learn his songs, and then Animals as Leaders is an instrumental. Like
Animals as Leaders?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that name.
They're insane.
They're insane. Like if you want to test yourself to see if you can actually learn a song, like if you think you're good, try to learn their stuff.
They're kind of like if UNT jazz students went into metal and they're just like, okay, what crazy time signatures can we mess with today?
Oh man, you know, like over the years when I ran sound for a little while over at Backyard on Bell and stuff, and you know, I did a lot of music that once again I would have never heard if I hadn't done this, but like, and really gained an appreciation for some of the noise bands that I would hear, because when these guys were warming up, they're playing these, you know, jazz scales and that whole thing, and then all of a sudden they're like pressing tape decks and rewinding stuff, and so just like they're these accomplished musicians who can really play well, but it's almost like they're so good they got bored with that. And so it's time to like, I don't know, there's that one song, it's like, what is it, 2 minutes and 22 seconds by John Cage. He comes out and it's the piano song where there's absolutely nothing but silence for like 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Wow.
And to this day, it's actually still copyrighted. Like you cannot make a song that is only silence for 2 minutes and 22 seconds because John
That's
Cage
so
did it.
Weird.
And even in his performance, he comes out, he sits down and just sits there and then gets up and leaves. So I was like, you got it. Like, that's some clout right there.
I know.
To be able to be like, to go see an accomplished pianist and then he just comes out, does nothing, walks off stage. Fantastic. Riveting performance this evening. He wowed the audience for sure. So do you guys have any upcoming shows, any upcoming performances?
We have one in the works right now in May with a local band called Select a Bonus.
Okay.
And Meet Japango, they
Awesome
played around
band.
here.
Yep.
and Ting Tang Tina. Yeah, that's coming up in May, but we're trying to coordinate something with hopefully Sad Cops.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
I believe Christian is in that band.
Yep.
Yeah, like I saw them for the first time. I think it was last year. They played outside of Denton County Brewing Company, and just had a blast with them, man. And then I was at work the other day, and somebody's phone was sitting like this, and they had a Sad Cop sticker. I was like, "Hey, I know
so
one of those
awesome.
guys." And like having grown up with listening to like Taking Back Sunday and just so many of those different bands, but then also enjoying, like Between the Buried and Me and all that different stuff. Like there's just a part of me that will always like that music.
Yeah.
It's never going to go away. I'm always like, they did a thing at Andy's last year called Forever Emo, and they had Criminal Birds come out, and they went as My Criminal Romance, and they played all these songs. And I've never gotten to see a lot of these bands, but I was in a front row, just they played Jimmy Eat World and Taking Back Sunday and Brand New, and I think they even threw in some Hawthorne Heights, which killed. I had to pull my hair way in front of my way down for that one.
We played Emo Night this last January, and we had to. So we had originally thought it was going to be like a cover kind of thing. So we had planned like a full set of covers from Jimmy Eat World, The Yellow Card, to Brand New.
Maybe a little dashboard in there if you're
I know.
feeling it.
And then the booking agent was like, "Hey, this isn't what this event is about." And this was like a week before the show. We were like, "Oh God!" So then we had a bunch of our originals, and then we just played one of the covers that we were planning on playing, and then that was that. But I kind of wish that had happened because I was looking forward to that.
Well, who knows? Maybe there will be another emo night. Another emo night. Have you guys reached out to any of the local venues in like Denton to try to book stuff or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I'm friends with Nick Womack, who is the booking agent for
DIE.
Yes, Dallas Independent Entertainment.
Nice.
And so he books at J&J's and Andy's a lot.
Very cool.
So anytime I ever need a show, I pretty much go to him.
Right on. I have to recommend, if you're ever interested in playing at Backyard, hit up Zach Walker. He's the guy who does like the sound and the booking for them, and like he is always down. Like you have an idea, message him, and if the date's open, he's like, "Yep, let's make it happen."
Cool, dude.
So they're all about it. Like I said, I know Sad Cops have played there before. I've played there plenty of times, and they're always bringing in touring acts too, so you can network and say, "Hey, we'd like to open for this touring act," and then boom. That's kind of how I do it, just being a single person, like a producer type, is I'll go on to these venues and I'll see who's playing this month and next month and 3 months from now, and then if there's anybody that my music fits that I can open for, I message whatever booking company that is, and then hopefully they respond back. Margin Walker, you haven't yet.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm still waiting.
So are we.
I'm still. Well, but that's the email etiquette. Send that email and then just wait.
Yeah.
Have those fingers crossed and just wait. So we'll see. Hopefully he'll get back to me. But like you were saying, numbers make a big difference in how you're getting booked. And so you guys on Instagram have over 10,000 followers. And so like that's a big number, for a venue to see, and it definitely helps. But the fact that you guys are also good at playing, and that is one thing that I notice about when I meet kind of an independent band, is that you got your recordings sound great.
Thank you, Ben.
Shout out Ben. And everything sounds nice. It's clear. It's balanced well, and you have a good singing voice, man.
Thank you.
And now that I know you're the dude killing on the drums, I always have mad respect for drummers, man.
Thank you very
anybody
much.
who can like play in front of a bunch of people, or can play with a band, or just like stay friends long enough to be a band. I have a lot of respect for that. I tip my hat to you guys.
Thank you.
And I think that if you guys have both struck me as very humble guys, humble gentlemen.
We try to be.
Who enjoy playing music and do it because you love it. And from my experience, from Jake's experience, that is really like what it comes down to, And I think that you guys will just continue to get more and more shows the more you play. And who knows, maybe another ad will pop in.
Maybe.
We'll
see.
here and there. So you said that you've kind of got a song in the works, and that'll be a single that comes out. The fans are getting restless,
They're always like, when's another song coming out? I'm like, I don't know. Stop asking.
Like you said, when it's ready.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
When it is done. So, man, now, did you guys have a show coming up? And then where is the show?
It is at Lola's Saloon in Fort Worth.
Okay. No, I've heard of Lola's Saloon. I've heard of this place. And when is it?
May 28th.
May 28th? Do you guys have your time slot?
No.
All right. Well, it's May 28th. Show up at maybe 6 o'clock and wait till midnight.
We'll see. Well, let's hope not.
Show up at 6, wait till midnight, and then.
Please, God,
and then
no.
Man, I had a show one time where I drove out. The show is over. I was playing with a band that actually just finished their first tour, so they've gone on, and I knew they would. But the guy who booked us came up to me, and he handed me $10, and I was like, "What's this?" And he was like, "This is your cut." And I was like, "Did the band get anything?" And he was like, "Nah." He was like, and I was like, "Give this to them."
Wow.
I was like, "There's 6 guys up there. Give them their $3, you know, or their $1.50 each." So. I know how y'all feel with some of those gigs that don't turn out the way you would want them to. Yeah. But the more that you do it, the more that they're going to turn out at better and better and better. It sounds like you guys are doing a great job of that. So my final question of the night is, we'll start with Taylor right here. Is what is your favorite snack?
Dude, I love French onion dip.
French onion dip?
Yeah. So
Nice.
I'll eat that with some potato chips, and I'm good.
Nice, very good. And TG?
Honey pretzels.
Honey pretzels.
Yeah, like honey glazed pretzels.
This is a first. I like both of these are the first of the answers in 2 years. For a while, we just had a string of spicy Cheeto lovers, and I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
It's a problem.
They've
dude.
been a
I used to
favorite.
eat those a
Yeah.
lot.
Once
Don't
they
sleep
started,
on 'em,
but yeah, don't eat too many because apparently they've been sending people to the hospital. mumble rappers
Yeah,
and
I
all have
know.
been getting sent to the hospital for eating too many Flamin' Hots. That's when they need the producer around to be like, "Stop!
I know,
eating
right?
Flaming Hots." This is a problem here. So, man, is there any last thing that maybe we haven't really covered tonight that you guys kind of wanted to talk about coming in? Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to, or just?
Yeah, Ethan and Tyler, have fun at school. We miss you.
We love you. Yeah.
Yeah, they go to UNT.
Nice.
They do jazz studies there.
Very cool.
And Ben, we've already said hey a few times, but yeah, hey Ben.
Much respect. Do you have anyone to say hi to, or are you just like?
Ben. The Hang Studios.
Hi Mom, hi
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. Oh, I do it every time. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Auntie, uncle, all those people.
And my wife, obviously. My wife, Amy. Hey, Amy.
There you go. Amy, he's a wonderful guy. Yeah, he seems. I just met him, but he seems great.
I try to be.
That's awesome, man. Well, guys, once again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think the music's awesome.
Thank you.
Keep writing. Keep working. Keep it up. I'm looking forward to the new song now.
Thank you.
And it'll be some music that I'll continue to play. It's like I said, I had it in my car earlier, and I was driving around listening to it. And every time I do, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna ask this question. Ooh, that was a good lyric. And then as soon as I start, I'm like, oh no, I can't remember that now.
I hate it when that happens.
So I apologize if I was lacking in some of that content
No,
tonight.
you're good, dude.
But it's been great talking with y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all coming out again, and have a great time at the show that you've got going on in Fort Worth. We said it was Lola's
Yes.
Saloon, May 22nd.
Mm-hmm. The 28th.
Or
Sorry.
28th. See, I'm sorry.
It's
Been
okay,
a long day.
It's going to be on the Instagram.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
sweet. It'll be on the Instagram.
Yeah,
Everybody, do you guys have a Facebook as well?
We do. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Facebook, we've got Spotify, and you guys also have the Instagram as well, man. That's great. So make sure y'all hit up Spotify, type in the Polarity. Like I said, it pops up right away. You can't miss it. Fantastic music from some fantastic gentlemen. Once again, I want to thank y'all for coming out tonight and kicking it with me. And for y'all listening and watching at home, not next Tuesday, but sometime around then, we're going to have K-Dog on the show. We're going to talk about his wing challenge and what it's like to be in the hip-hop scene here in Denton, Texas. Also, you guys tune in next week, and also stay tuned for Ellie Bell and the Denton Vibe. She actually just won a DAM award for Best Poet, so y'all stick around for that. And I will see y'all next week right here on DentonRadio.com. See you later.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.